Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about Chicken Run. Now Chicken Run starts off on a farm in England, and we suddenly see um my favorite chicken, Ginger, who is a hen because she is a chicken. So They they are all girl chickens. So she is trying to escape with the spoon, and she's done this before, and I have to say she is getting better. So she's done this before. She has she escapes by going under the wire by digging her way out. So she is also not alone. She also has all of her friends that are following right behind her. But one of her friends gets stuck. So they try to help her under the wire, but Mr. Tweety, the farmer, flashes his light and he sees the chicken escapes. Well, he thinks he sees the chicken escape, but he flashes his light again and no chicken is escaping. So the dogs end up seeing them trying to get under the wire. And they end up barking and waking up Mrs. Tweety, and she asks their husband, Mr. Tweety, what is this chicken doing outside of the coop? And he says, well, I don't know. And she just gives him a look. She just gives him a look like, Lord have mercy. That's the look that she gives him. Like, Mr. Tweety deserves so much better. I loved him as a character. And he was right all along. The chickens were escaping. He was right all along, but his wife never listened to him. So anyway, so anyway, so anyway, since Ginger got caught by Mrs. Tweety, because she got caught by the door, since she got caught by Mrs. Tweety, Mr. Tweety puts her in a box of coal, and the chickens call this solitary confinement. And so the chickens try to escape again and again, and they try to come up with like a bunch of different plans, even dressing up as Mrs. Tweety, but the dogs catch them. And it turns out that they have a underground civilization of a meeting that they have every night. But tonight is very important because they lost one of their best friends. You see, this is a chicken farm, and on the farm they lay eggs, but one of their friends could not lay an egg. So when the chickens can no longer lay eggs, they killed them. So, since Ginger lost one of her, since Ginger lost one of her best friends, since Ginger lost one of her friends, she tells Mac, her second in command, who helps her, who helps her with all of the plans. Mac, the meeting is still on. Get everybody in room 17. So Ginger tries Ginger tries to tell them the plan, but one of the chickens says, "You know what, Ginger? Maybe if you spent more time laying and less time escaping, life would be better for you." And my girl Ginger says, "Do you see that for yourself? Laying eggs for the rest of your life, and then when they're done with us, kapooey, 'cause I don't. There is a better place out there." And then one of the chickens says, "Oh, oh, there's oh, 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 I only have a little bit of hope left." And then Ginger says, "Well, there's still hope. Well, there's still hope." And then Ginger goes outside and she cries. Then Ginger goes outside and she cries. And then she meets Rocky, this chicken who she sees is flying. Well, actually, he's a rooster. This chicken that she sees who is flying. And then that's when she gets the idea that they will go over the wire by flying. And they tried to go over by themselves, but then even that example went kapooey because it was made of food. And then Mac and then Mac, Ginger's second in command, tried to tell them that they could jump over the wire. But then the food example went kapooey, so that's what Ginger and that chicken was funning about. Like, there's still hope, we can't give up, and the other chicken was telling her to give up. But now she sees they have hope because she stops crying and looks up at the sky and sees Rocky flying. But then he goes kapooey because he hits a pole and he breaks his wing. So with all this commotion, the other chickens here, and then Ginger says, "That's it. That's it." And she takes the piece of paper that she found with him, and it turns out that he is a rooster that can fly. But that's not the entire story, but I will get into that later. So, with the poster in hand, when he wakes up and he sees and he sees that his wing is all better. Because it is an advantage. Ginger holds the poster up to him, and Ginger asks, "Is this you?" And then and then and then Rocky says, "Yeah, it's me." And it turns out that Rocky is a rooster. Rocky, and it turned out that Rocky is a rooster, and that he is from America. So Ginger tries to talk to him about showing them how to fly. And then Rocky says, "With this wing," and then she says, "Teach us then." And then a truck comes, and then the truck that is looking for him is the circus truck. He is from the circus. And this is when Ginger, and this is when my girl Ginger says, "Teach us how to fly, or I will turn you into the circus." And then he goes, "Look here, doll." Well, he called her a doll. He called her a lot of pet names throughout this movie. He said, "Look here, doll. There's no way you're gonna do that, and there's no way I'm gonna turn you into. There's no way I'm gonna teach you and your friends how to fly." So she starts clucking, and he says, "Fine, fine, 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 fine. I'll do it." And then throughout the week, we start doing our exercise. We start doing our exercise montage while still trying to hide from the farmer. Still doing our exercises montage throughout the week. And this is when Ginger realizes that he's not really teaching them anything. He's just over there relaxing, enjoying enjoying a drink. And then on one of the exercises, he didn't even show up. He was in the barn, and he was in the barn with all the other chickens and enjoying another drink. So this is when Ginger Ginger talked to him twice. The first time she talked to him, she says, "Look, it just seems like we're not going anywhere. We're just doing these exercises, and everybody was just spinning around in a circle." And Ginger said exactly that. She said, "Everybody's just going around in a circle." And then Max, my girl Mac, does the calculations, and it turns out that all the exercising and the practicing that they've been doing to try to fly isn't really working. So Ginger tried to talk to him again, and so it turned out that all the exercises that they've been doing isn't really working. But Rocky says, "Look, doll, you gotta trust me on this." So she trusts them tries to tries to and tries to be patient and tries to wait for him to teach them all how to fly. Meanwhile, did I tell you what was going on with Mr. and Mrs. Tweety? Well, Mrs. Tweety was working on the finances, counting all the eggs that they could put in stores, right? And then she passes by this catalog about a pie machine. So she buys the machine and she tries to get some chickens into the machine. I forgot to tell you guys that part. She buys the machine and her 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 and her husband set it up. They set up the pie machine. And then she asked her husband, Mr. Tweety, to go by to 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 go by the chicken farm and get a chicken. And and did I tell you did I did I tell you did I tell you that Ginger had another talk with him, and this time the talk was serious. No wait, I gotta tell you guys about the pie machine, cause the pie machine is really serious. So Mr. Tweety knows exactly what bird he is gonna get for the pie machine. He is going to get Ginger, cause Ginger is always starting trouble. So he gets Ginger, and he puts her in the pie machine, and all the girls are like, "Oh, Ginger's gonna be made into a pie." But Rocky goes and saves her by the general, well, his name is not the general, but 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 since but since he was in the army, I forgot what his name was. But there was this one chicken that there there there's this one chicken that Rocky has to bunk with, cause those are the rules. Because nobody wants to give up their bunk for Rocky. Well, they do, but he just doesn't feel comfortable sleeping around a bunch of girls. So so um so so this one so this so this so he has to sleep with the one chicken who was in the army. He was he this one chicken was in the army, and I like him, so I'm gonna call him Sergeant. So Sergeant, so Sergeant, come, so Sergeant, so Sergeant, so Sergeant tells, so Sergeant tells Rocky, no. Babs, one of Ginger's friends, tell Rocky that they are going to put Ginger in a pie machine. So Rocky goes to save Ginger. He saves Ginger, and the sergeant gives him his army pin and says, "For saving one of my own, I I give the bunk to you, and I will be sleeping under the stars. Good night, Rocky. And 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 the sergeant says that he will be looking forward to the flying lesson that Rocky's supposed to give. And oh, I forgot to tell you. After so 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 after so after Ginger so after so after Ginger gets saved by Rocky, Ginger says thank you, and he calls her Ginger for the first time. Oh, and they had a and 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 I forgot to tell you, Mr. Tweety gives them extra food to fatten them up to try to make them pies, but Ginger tells them to stop eating because she can see that Mrs. Tweety is just overfeeding them so they can get bigger, and so Mr. Tweety can get rid of them and turn them into pies. But Rocky tries to talk to her, and then Ginger says, to Rocky, we have got to get out of here. And they are turning us into pies pretty soon. And I know, I know you don't want to hear the truth, but they're gonna turn us into pies. So we have to fight our way out. But Rocky tries to get them to remember fun by throwing them a party. And he even gets a stereo because 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 there are these two rats who get stuff from the human world, and the chicken normally pays them in actually their chicken feed. But Rocky says, you want eggs to make money? I'll give you eggs if you would just give me this and this and this and this. So since Rocky acts for so much stuff in the human world, he has promised them so many eggs because be, 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 because I think the rats give 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 Rocky those things. Give Rocky give Rocky those things for eggs. But how he was able to trick them and say that I will give you all my eggs if you could give me this and this. So the things that they've been learning to fly with come from the human world. So Rocky talked them into giving Rocky a DVD player. So he throws them a dance party. And with Ginger and Rocky on good odds. With Ginger and Rocky on on with Ginger and Rocky on good terms. Ginger tells him when they are when they are sitting out looking up at the stars that night. She tells him, Rocky, when you teach us how to fly tomorrow, I hope that we fly all the way to that grass and we all be free. And then Rocky tries to tell him the truth, and the truth is that the next day Rocky left, Ginger found another piece of the poster. You see, Ginger just found the piece of the poster when they first met of him flying, but she put it together, and he was from the circus, and he used to fly out of this cannon. And the rats found out that that male chickens can't really lay eggs. It's only the girl chickens who can lay eggs. So with Rocky gone, because his wing got better, and then Ginger saw it, and then Ginger saw that his wing got better at the party, and then Sergeant gave him that silver pin, and Sergeant really doesn't trust anyone, so it really hurt me when he left. And then he left and got on his bike and took all his stuff with him. And he looked back sadly because he really did like Ginger and all the chickens. And the sergeant who gave you the pin, no less. But you still left. And now they just found out that you used to fly from out of the cannon, and then everybody starts fighting, and then they build a plane. Cause the sergeant tries to get their attention, but then one of the chickens says, "Oh, will you just be quiet with all of the stories?" And then the chicken and then the chicken who tells him to be quiet hits him, and then he says, "How dare you?" And then what they do to poor Babs' knitting crochet is just so sad, because they put it into the mud, and then she starts to cry. And then another chicken starts fighting with another chicken, and everybody's fighting. But Ginger's just so sad. And Mac asks Ginger, what's the next plan? What's the next plan? And then Ginger doesn't answer because she feels so defeated. But then she starts looking up at the pen that Rocky left behind, and then Sergeant gives them the idea to build to and then Sergeant gives them an idea to build a seat with wings. So basically, they build a plane. So Mac built a plane, but it wasn't ready. But my girl Ginger says, we are either gonna fly or die trying flying. So, even though it wasn't ready, they tried to fly the machine, and it actually ends up working. And Rocky ends up going back, and then Mrs. Tweety, when Rocky ended up going back, he ended up flying over the corn on his motorcycle to save Ginger, because it looked like Mr. Tweety, who just left Mr. Tweety by himself and locked in that room that the chickens locked him in. It just seems like Mr. Tweety. It just seems like Mr. Tweety just got locked in that room that the chickens locked him in. And then Mrs. Tweety is trying to ruin their escape plan by grabbing Ginger. But then Rocky comes back and saves Ginger. And then he gets on the plane. And then Ginger hits him, well deserved, for leaving. And then she almost kisses him, but the plane goes down again. And this is when Mrs. Tweety has Ginger, but Ginger chews her way through the leash, and she actually gets free of Mrs. Tweety of Mrs. Tweety's of she actually gets free of Mrs. Tweety's grip. She actually gets free of Mrs. Tweety's grip. And then Mrs. Tweety ends up falling in the barn. Well, actually, not in the barn. She ends up falling into the machine, and they end up cooking her into a pie. But for some reason, she survived being cooked into a pie. This is the movie, so you know it's fake. So she actually survives being cooked into a pie. And they actually go to the poster, and since no one is buying or selling their eggs anymore, they actually have a lot of kids that they can teach, and now they are on a free island, and Rocky and Ginger are together now, and at the end they kiss on the plane. So Rocky and Ginger are together. And so I'm just gonna imagine that they're married. They're not married, but let me imagine that Rocky and Ginger are on the island and they're together and married. Oh, in the oh 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 in the oh 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 Oh, and I know what you're thinking. What happened to the rats that gave them all that free stuff from what happened to the rats that gave them all that free stuff, the cereal and all that stuff? They 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 are living by the island. So they are living as neighbors. And then and then and then and then I know you're asking what happened to Mr. Tweety. So Mr. Tweety finds Mrs. Tweety out of the machine, and she is in the barn. And Mr. Tweety says, I told you they were smart. And then Mrs. Tweety just seems to growl at him, and then Mr. Tweety closes the door. So I don't know if they're probably still. So that is the end of the movie. So that is the end of the movie. The chickens got free, and they got to go on their island. And since nobody bought their eggs, they had a lot of kid chickens on the island as well. And that is the end of the movie. Bye, and I will see you guys in my next video.